The phone joined the Wi-Fi network in an airport I had never landed in before on its own while it was still in my pocket. Prime friendship. It did that because 11 months earlier I had connected to a network with the same name in a different airport in a different country. A name was the only thing my phone was ever checking. That is most of this subject in one sentence. The warnings are about something else entirely. Windizengit piece. Nidan Trapfranchet for a living. SIM cards in modems sold to businesses that need their traffic leaving from a particular carrier, which makes me the network operator in this story rather than the customer. People route through equipment I own, and I can tell you precisely what that position shows me and what it does not. Customers ask me that directly, usually inside the first week. The honest answer is the same one a cafe would give if a cafe ever gave one. I can see which names your device asked for and how much data moved. I cannot see inside any of it. So let me clear the famous one out of the way first because it is settled and it is boring now. The person 2 tables away reading your banking session needed your traffic to be readable in transit. The web encrypted itself in the meantime and your browser complains loudly when a site has not. I made that argument at length in another video and I am not making it twice. What is left after that is smaller, stranger, and almost completely missing from the advice. What the network still learns on a router I control, I can open the name lookup log. It is a list of domains with a timestamp and the device next to each line. Before your laptop can reach a site, it has to turn the name into an address, and that question goes to whoever runs the network unless you have deliberately arranged otherwise. And even when the lookup itself is encrypted, the handshake that follows has historically carried the server name in the open, because the machine on the other end needs to know which site you are asking for before it can hand you the right certificate. So the operator gets your browsing list, not your reading. The list, which is a genuinely dull thing next to theft, and still a real thing to hand over. A cafe learns that one device visited a bank, a health forum, 4 news sites, and a dating app between 9 and 10 in the morning. It learns not one word of any of it. Whether that matters is a question about the venue, not about the technology. The coffee shop under your office is a different answer from a hotel in a country you are visiting on business. There is a second thing the venue collects, and that is your device's address on the network. Phones randomize it per network now, which broke the old trick of following one handset through every branch of a chain. It survives exactly one thing. Sign into a portal with your email and you have tied that random address to a person yourself, and the chain can stitch your visits back together from its own records. Encrypted lookups are on by default in most browsers now, and they close half of this. The handshake half is closing too, slowly, and depends on the site as much as on you. Worth switching on, not worth believing it finished the job. The portal is the honest hole. There is exactly one place where a network is supposed to interrupt you, and it is the sign-in page that appears the moment you connect. The mechanism is a small hijack. Your device fires a plain request at a known address to test whether it has internet yet. The network answers with its own page instead of the expected reply, and your phone throws that page at you as a notification. That is legitimate. It is how every hotel and airport has worked for 15 years, and it has trained an entire generation to accept a web page appearing out of nowhere on a network they met 4 seconds ago from a party they cannot identify, which is why a fake one looks completely normal. There is nothing odd to notice. The odd thing is the thing you were taught to expect. So the rule has to be about what the page asks for, because you cannot tell a real portal from a good fake by looking at it. A real one wants a room number, an email address, a code from a receipt, a tick on some terms, all cheap, all harmless. It does not want your card details unless you are actually buying access, and a real one hands that to a payment page it does not control. It never wants the password to another account of yours. It never needs you to install an app or a profile, and if it asks you to accept a certificate warning, that is the end of the conversation. That one is not a judgment call. The Twinster. No, the airport thing, because it is the one that changed what I do rather than just what I think. An open Wi-Fi network has no identity. It has a name, and the name is text that any radio in the room can broadcast. So stand up a device announcing the same name as the venue's network, sit close enough to have the stronger signal, and phones will come to you. A phone picks by name and signal strength, It has nothing else to pick by. People assume the password stops this. It does not when the password is chalked on a board behind the counter. Whoever is running the fake can read the board too. Once a device is on your network, you get to answer its questions. You serve the portal. You answer the name lookups, which means you decide what machine a name points at. You still cannot read the encrypted traffic, but you can break it and hope the person clicks through the warning to get on with their day, which a tired person in a boarding queue quite often does. And then your phone saves it. It does not save the venue, it saves the name, and it saves the instruction to rejoin that name automatically, anywhere, indefinitely. That is what happened to me in an airport I had never been to. So one connection in one building becomes a standing invitation that travels with you for years, in every country, with no further input from you. The common airport and coffee chain names sit in the saved list of an enormous number of phones for exactly this reason. Forget the network when you leave. 2 taps. It is the highest value habit in this entire video and it costs nothing. Your laptop is also listening. This one has nothing to do with your traffic and it is missing from every guide I have read. Plenty of public networks are flat. Every device on them can address every other device directly, the way the machines in your house can. Your laptop makes requests on that network. It also sits there answering them. File sharing, printer discovery, media casting, remote access, screen sharing, whatever somebody switched on 2 years ago to move a folder across the office and never switched off. At home that is convenient and fine. On a hotel network, it means a shared folder is on offer to everyone in the building and to whoever is parked outside it. This is the actual question Windows is asking when it wants to know whether a network is public or private, and it is worded badly. The honest version would be, should the strangers here be able to see your shared folders? Say public. On a Mac, the equivalent controls live in the sharing settings, and their state depends on what you plugged in and agreed to over the past decade. Check that tonight rather than on your next trip. It takes one look and then it stays fixed. The one with the best success rate, none of the above. It is the person sitting behind you, reading your screen. No equipment, no skill, nothing that could later be called an attack. And it works on what you are actually doing instead of a list of domain names. It is also the only item here where somebody walks away with contents rather than a list. I have read a stranger's email in a departure lounge without trying, from 2 rows back because the screen was bright and tilted up and my flight was late. A privacy filter costs about $30 and does more for you in an airport than anything you can install on the machine. Mostly though it is about where you sit, back to a wall, that is free. For I got wrong. For years I believed that a password on a Wi-Fi network meant the people on it could not read each other. That is wrong on the ordinary setup and I should have known better because the mechanism is not subtle. When everybody shares one passphrase, the session key your device negotiates is derived from that passphrase plus a short exchange that happens in the open at the moment you join. So somebody who has the password and was listening when you connected can work that key out and read your Wi-Fi layer traffic. For tokens, the password keeps out people who do not have it. It does nothing about the 40 people in the cafe who do. The newer standard fixes this properly and gives every device its own key. And there is a variant that encrypts open networks with no password at all. Both are years into a slow rollout and you cannot tell which one you are on from the icon in the corner of your screen. In practice, it matters far less than it sounds, for the reason at the top of this video, because everything above that layer is already encrypted. But I had the mechanism wrong for a long time and I was handing out advice built on top of it. What I actually do, ranked. Because a ranked list is more useful than a complete one. First, I sit where nobody is behind me. I nearly put that at the bottom as a joke and then thought about the hit rate. Second, my own phone's hotspot. Mobile data is cheap and I am in the business of it. Using my own connection deletes every item in this video at once instead of mitigating any of them, and for anything involving money, it is not a decision I spend time on. Third, forget the network afterwards and turn off automatic rejoining for anything public. Fourth, set the network to public on the laptop so it stops introducing itself to the room. Fifth, nothing goes into a portal page except an email address and a room number. No card, no account password, no certificate, no download. Sixth, encrypted lookups on in full knowledge that it is half a fix. The tool everybody expects at the top of that list is missing from it. Wrong shape for this problem. It takes the browsing list away from the cafe and gives it to whoever runs the tunnel, and the list still exists. More to the point, it does nothing at all about the twin, the portal, the shared folder, or the man behind you. What public Wi-Fi costs you, read honestly, is a list of where you went, plus a small chance of a bad afternoon if you connect to something wearing a familiar name. That is worth 20 seconds of habit. It is not worth the fear it gets sold with, and it has never been the thing that empties an account. More privacy tools tested honestly at theprivacywire.com. Subscribe for privacy advice that is actually practical.